So you're thinking of learning or getting better at piano in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. First of all, yes, you can, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And secondly, there are a few things you need to know to make this a wonderful adventure. I've taught piano to adults of every age, and I've seen it all. And I know that there are some really great advantages to learning piano as an adult. But there's always a but, isn't there? There are a few surprises that can make your piano journey a joyful one or leave you questioning all of your life choices. And don't worry, this video is not going to be like a live, love, laugh poster. No offense if you have one of those. I'm going to give you the real inside scoop. So grab a cup of coffee, some tea, maybe your reading glasses. It's okay, we're all friends here. And let's dive in. Let's start with the good. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that learning as an adult is the same as learning when you're a child. So let's be real. If you're 40 and juggling a job and children and pets and parents, or if you're 80 and wondering if your hands will cooperate with your brain, playing piano looks different and feels different for you. Most adults who come to me for piano lessons or who take my courses think that they missed their chance because they didn't pursue piano as a child. But I'm here to tell you that the piano doesn't care how old you are, but it does care how you approach it. And this is where most adults go wrong. So let's find out how to get it right. People love to tell you that younger brains learn faster. That's cute, right? Well, guess what? You don't need a young brain to learn piano. What you need is a smart brain. And I don't mean intelligent. I mean one that has experience, has a frame of reference, has learned how to learn. And if you're over 40, you've got that. As an adult, your brain is already wired to recognize patterns. This is a huge superpower that you're probably not making use of. Once you start to see the patterns and structures inside a piece of music, you can learn it a lot faster and retain it better. You've listened to a lifetime of music and you know what you like. You know what you don't like, and you can naturally gravitate toward the kind of music that you will enjoy learning and spending time practicing. Your emotional intelligence is light years ahead of a 16-year-old's, and that will give your piano playing more depth, more emotional impact. Let's talk about the things that people don't like to mention. Have you ever memorized a piece of music and then when it was time to perform it, it just kind of fell apart? Yeah, me too. It is terrifying. But here's the twist. Your memory didn't fail you. It's just that you were relying on only one kind of memory. Think of memory like a three-legged stool. We've got the musical memory, which is what does this piece sound like? Or what does this section of the piece sound like? Can I sing it, even if it's only in my head? There is the mental or intellectual memory. What key is this piece in? What note does it start on? What are the patterns that repeat? And then there is the muscle memory, the physical memory, which is when you are repeating the motions over and over, one of the things we do when we're practicing, so that the motions become ingrained in your body. This is the one people usually rely on, and it's the first one to go. So you want to make sure that you're keeping all three legs of that stool going. And if you're thinking that as you get older, your memory kind of fails you, well, don't worry, because the truth is that learning piano as an older adult actually rewires your brain, gives you better memory, a better ability to handle cognitive tasks. And if you're learning piano as a 70, 80, 90, 100-year-old, look, you're already cooler than everybody that you know. And you're doing something that adds value to your life, to your health, and to your mental health. You want to hear an emotional truth bomb? Learning piano as an adult messes with your head, but in a good way. You're going to feel impatient. You as an adult are used to accomplishing things. You've become competent in lots of tasks and probably in your career. But the piano doesn't really care about your resume. It will humble you. My advice is embrace the process. Those awkward phases that you go through are proof that you are learning. Because if you only did those things that feel comfortable for you, that means you're not learning anything new. Now you'll also feel impatient because you've developed a taste level around music. You know what sounds good. And you also know very quickly when you're making mistakes. Your ear tells you this doesn't sound right. And most adults will feel really frustrated about that. Your ears aren't here to torture you. They are here to show you the way. So what should you do when you're playing music, you know what it's supposed to sound like, and yet it doesn't sound like that? Let's say you're making mistakes. Well, this is really great because the mistakes are telling you where you need to put your focus. Instead of panicking or playing it over and over, hoping that somehow it's going to fix itself, ask yourself this question: what doesn't feel right? And this question: what doesn't sound right? Then answer it and work on that particular thing. This is where the magic happens. So the next time you play something that sounds off or feels weird, don't panic. Just ask yourself, okay, what was it? Did I play a wrong note? Was I unsure about the fingering? Am I unclear about the rhythm? Do I need to practice one hand at a time? Do I need to practice slower? These are all questions that give you a course of action. Much better than just saying, well, that wasn't very good. Now, progress is not a steady upward line. It's more like a squiggle. Because we get these messages from videos that want to be watched and courses that want to be purchased, that you only need a few minutes dedicated to this one simple trick and you'll play like a pro, we start to internalize these messages. It's normal. And so when you start learning piano, you will kind of expect to be amazing immediately. But here's the thing, slow progress is still progress. It takes a sense of faith. In the same way that planting a seed in soil takes faith. You water that seed, you give it the fertilizer, and you wait for it to sprout. When it sprouts, it probably doesn't have any vegetables on it. Let's say you're growing tomatoes, but you keep watering it and you give it sunshine. You have faith that this seed will grow into what it's supposed to grow. Think of playing the piano just like that. You're not going to always see progress every single day. Here's what most people don't tell you. When you're learning piano later in life, it's not just about the music. It's about reclaiming a part of yourself. I know that sounds kind of woo-woo, but stay with me here. Maybe you always wanted to play piano, but you didn't have the opportunity. Or maybe you did take lessons as a child and you had that awful teacher who would slap your hand whenever you made a mistake. I always thought that that was something that was just in movies, but I've actually had older students who've told me that's what their piano experience was like as a child. But as an adult, you get to decide what this experience feels like. You get to decide what music you play and who to study with. And you get to explore that artistic, creative side of you. So if you took lessons as a child, you might be carrying some emotional baggage. Let's unpack it. If you were a child who was given the message that it's not okay to make mistakes, that was me, and you internalized the frustration and the shame of not being perfect at something, probably what will happen when you're learning piano as an adult is that sense of shame and frustration is going to come right back. It's kind of ingrained in your body. The stuff we feel as children stays with us. We're like blank slates at that time. It just kind of stays with us. But the good news is that you can definitely change it. And here's how. This has worked, so you have to actually do it for it to work, right? Anytime you make a mistake, and by mistake, it's basically playing something you didn't intend to play, okay? Whenever you make a mistake, I want you to stop right there, smile, and say, woohoo! I know it sounds corny, I get it, but it's a pattern interrupt. And it's really important to do it if you're serious about getting rid of that emotional baggage, right? So whenever you make a mistake, I want you to stop and say, woohoo, laugh. Go tell someone, hey, can you believe it? I played a C major chord and it was supposed to be C minor. I promise you, people that you tell this to are going to be like, and what's the problem? Why would you do this? It shows you that this mistake is not this huge, looming thing that you have to be ashamed of. It's just an experience, that's all. I also want you to try this other thing, which is whenever you play really well, I want you to stop right away. Stop right away. Get up and go tell someone again, hey, you'll never believe this. I just played a C major arpeggio and it was beautiful. I felt relaxed. I got all the notes in a nice rhythm, whatever rhythm I was going for. And again, it really doesn't matter their reaction. What we're doing is we're giving yourself kind of like self-talk, feedback to yourself that mistakes are not serious and that playing well is something to be celebrated, not something to just assume like, yeah, okay, well, I did it this time, what about next time? That doesn't help. So you can definitely rewrite the story, but you have to do things that feel kind of silly. Nothing wrong with that. I actually had a student tell me, every time I sit at the piano, I feel like I'm becoming the person I always wanted to be. So if you're waiting for permission to realize that dream of playing the piano the way you want to play it, consider this your permission. But you really don't need it. You get to decide. Your body has opinions. And once you reach the age of 40, it starts to behave a little differently than it did when you were younger. But this doesn't have to mean that you're stuck playing baby songs for the rest of your life. If you approach learning piano or playing piano in a smart way, you can actually get pretty good technically. So what you want to make sure you're doing is incorporating warm-ups and exercises into your daily routine. This doesn't mean endless boring scales. More about that later. But you want to get in shape for the task at hand, which is playing piano. Remember that movement heals. The more you move, the more flexible you become. You have a better mind-body connection with your hands, with your arms, with your everything that you use to play the piano. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel. You want to do gentle warm-ups, some stretches, make sure that you're using gravity to play and not hitting the keys. And if you feel your wrist is hurting, I've got some good news for you. I'll get to that in a minute, and it doesn't involve ice packs or surgery. You want to sit at the right height for the piano. Keep a good upright posture. All of these things are really important. Playing the piano is not just moving your fingers. A lot of times my older students will tell me, my fingers are stiff. They don't do what I want them to do. But most of the time, the stiffness isn't about age. It's about tension from moving inefficiently and incorrectly. And fixing that is way easier than you think. You have to use gravity instead of force. I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. Whether you're working at a job or run your own business, or even if you've retired, your schedule is packed with things that you have to do. That's just the reality of living life in the 21st century. So for every one of us, time is our most precious resource. The secret to getting good at piano or anything else is really simple. It's micro practicing. You don't need a marathon session 7 days a week to learn piano. 10 minutes of focused, intentional practice is much better than an hour of aimless noodling around. And the best part is when you're percolating your coffee, I don't know what percolating means. When your coffee is getting done, is being made, you can sit down and do a 3-minute practice. Go grab your coffee, sit down, and instead of scrolling social media or watching doom stories on the news, practice your piano. Now remember when I told you that it's pretty easy to train your fingers to play with ease and with relaxation and control? I show you one way that you can do that in this video here. And whenever you're ready for a step-by-step, adult-friendly approach to learning the piano, you can check out free previews of my courses in the links below. Keep practicing, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Bye.